with Willie Godbolt. First episode for you, Willie, of your sort of defining life moments. And I think you want to talk about incarceration.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, the floor is yours.
I am Willie Godbolt. I've been reduced to being inmate 228135. Um, since being incarcerated, I've seen a lot. I've learned a lot. I've evolved as a human being. This is my first time being incarcerated. Um, I never knew what people on this side of that fence was going through. I often traveled throughout this country and would pass prisons by and never understood the struggle that went on within them. I've
Mm.
had family members that have served time would often speak of their prison experiences, but rarely ever could I empathize with them as to what I've seen, learned, and went through personally. Um, One of the biggest contributions that prison has made to my life, and I know that's an oxymoron to some folks, is being that it humanized me in a manner, in a way that lets me know that we are a lot alike. We all come from a family. We all come from a struggle. We've all had our ups and downs. We've all had different journeys that led us to different places. Uh, Even here doesn't mean that this has to be our final destination. With that being said, I've been an advocate for myself this entire process. I've been an advocate for others this entire process. Um, I like to tell people in my life, uh, I've been helped and I've been the helper, and I've enjoyed both sides of it. Um, and it's just right now. I would like for society, for the world to look itself in the mirror and understand uh when it comes to the world problems, there's not one person that's got the solution. It takes all of us. Uh the incarcerated and the free alike. Often so many times when we on this side of the fence, we're always looking for somebody to help. Maybe it's the legislators and the laws need to be passed. Maybe it's getting the public's attention to make them aware of what's going on. And rarely do we understand that we have a part to play in it as well. So I often remind guys that we are a big part of the solution. Uh, it avails us nothing if they restore your freedom and give you access to a second chance for you to only get it and blow it. Um, I believe in accountability. I believe in restoration. I believe that every man deserves another chance because mistakes are inevitable. We're all going to fail in some capacity. Some of us may fail in this capacity. Some of us may wind up in this position. But even if we fail, and even if we wind up in this position, who is the one that's going to extend their hand of humanity,
Mm.
acts, and try to help us out of that mire, out of that mud, out of that situation? A lot of the times people will turn their back and say that's on them. That was their mistake. They made it. They suffered. But then I ask you this: If you neglect those people and you turn your back on, rather than educating, enlightening, informing, and then your neighborhood becomes dangerous because they are in your neighborhood or they have been released in your neighborhood. Who's really at fault? Is it them or is it you? Because you had an opportunity to educate them, to enlighten them, to
Mm.
inform them, to put them back on track, and you refuse. So we all got a part to play in. There's no one person alone uh, that's responsible for it. God tells us to love our neighbors as we love ourselves. I haven't met a person yet that want to be done wrong. Uh, I haven't met a person yet that doesn't want to be forgiven, that doesn't want to be loved. Um, so be the change that you want to see for
Can I
them and us alike.
can I interject there, Williams? I think you raise a really interesting point because with all of my conversations with you guys, there is a common thread, and the common thread is that everybody suffered some sort of life issues before they arrived at Parchment. Nobody that
Yeah,
was living, a totally balanced, fulfilling, good, settled life tend to find themselves,
absolutely.
ending up on death row. And it is such an ingrained fault, I believe, in society that we don't reach out and we don't help children and families from a very early age. We don't support those people where people can see there are issues. Schools flag up issues, our neighbours flag up issues, family members flag up issues, but often very little is done until something often quite sort of catastrophic or devastating happens. And then it's too late. The moment has already occurred.
Absolutely. I often say that people are injured, they're not broken. And
Mm,
with the right nurture, an injury can be healed. With
mm,
the proper nurture, it can be healed. But who's often to administer that? Who's gonna give that? Right?
mm.
Love your neighbor as you love yourself, right? But it's a tough ask, and I understand it.
Yeah.
I understand it. Because, again, I've been on both sides of it. In the midst of me advocating for myself and advocating for others, I understand how big a part that people instability of their minds is. So mental health is a big part of it,
Yeah.
especially in the Black community.
Yeah.
It is so taboo in America that uh, people always stigmatize anybody that's trying to take care of their mental health. If I was to have a heart issue, it would be perfectly fine for me to go to a cardiologist and try to get my heart
No.
seen about.
What is the difference between that
It,
and having a mental health problem?
it's the stigma. It's the
Mm,
stigma, right?
mm,
Right. Nobody's going around picking on people saying, "Oh, they got a weak heart," or they got feeble bones. You know what I'm
mm,
saying?
mm.
Because they have MS, but they often poke fun of the person
Mm.
mental health issue. I mean,
Yeah.
and it's ingrained in American society and
Mm.
it's absolutely acceptable
Yeah.
to poke fun
Yeah. To
of the
do that.
person with
Yeah.
the mental health. So we have this they have this saying, say sticks and stones may break your bones, but
Yeah.
words would. And I found it to be a lie. I found it to be very much a lie. And I've
Mm.
been hearing this all of my life, but words mean everything. I never
Oh, words can
anybody
be more
that
wounding, I think, than anything else.
than any blow you
Mm,
can deliver.
mm,
In any blow you can deliver. That's why the word of God tells you that life and death lies in the power of your tongue. What are you saying about folks? What
mm.
are you saying about yourself? Really matters. So when people are saying things that don't comport to society and to the way that society operates and success, they're telling they're wiring themselves the wrong way. Somebody else can be wiring them the wrong way, and
Mm,
now they are out,
mm,
right? In house that is built on a foundation that is not structurally sound will
mm,
soon come crashing down.
mm. Yeah, if the
Again, I am an
foundations
advocate.
are sound, it will all fall. Mm,
Absolutely. So since I've been locked up, 6 years here in Parchman and 9 years altogether. I've been here in death row for 6 years. I've been really trying to understand things that went on in my life. I've been through an extensive investigation trying to figure out
mm,
the legal ramifications of the things that went on in my life and so on and so forth. So the mental health aspect have certainly played a big part of it. Even as I look around, and more so when I was up at 29, um, the infamous 29, House of Pain, Castle Grace School, whatever you may call it, right? And it's
mm,
often looked on John because of the stigma that goes along with that. But I met a lot of good guys that were just in a lot of bad situations.
mm.
Uh, a lot of it through no fault of their own. Um, and I could empathize, also sympathize with it because a lot of their stories sounded similar to mine,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
A lot of those things sounded similar to mine, and I'm like, we got way more in common than we got, what I'm saying, in opposition.
yeah, yeah,
So I
yeah.
kind of gravitated to those guys to try to understand this process, not only to aid myself and my attorneys into understanding what actually transpired in my life, but also to try to be a barrier, right? A roadblock, if you will, um, from anybody else winding up in this situation.
Mm,
But it's often uh, that people in my position is disregarded, right? It's like
mm.
you're a failure. Like, what can you tell us? And often it is human fact that we learn more from our mistakes than anything.
Oh, I completely agree with that. And I think, these are the voices, as yours is now, that actually absolutely should be talking, and should be sort of lecturing in schools, and saying that, these were the challenges that I faced. I endured a lot, and this is where I ended up. Maybe, just maybe, with some earlier intervention, you could have been supported, and not have ended up where you are now.
I don't claim to be some prestigious intellectual. I'm just a man that's been made a man by my mistakes. Um, I I understand that my life has purpose, right?
Mm,
Like I feel that 1,000% in my bone. My life has purpose. I have not given up despite my sentence. I was sentenced to 4 death sentences, 6 life sentences, right?
mm,
And it was it's easy for one to concede that it would have broken me, right? But I am not a man uh who is easily broken based
mm.
on the things that I have been through, which have conditioned me, right?
Your resilience
Like
in this is huge,
uh,
Willie, and it really does shine
to God,
through. And I really
to God be
admire
the
the way that you do an awful lot of work on yourself, and you're entirely
absolutely.
accountable for things that have happened in your life, but you also find the time to lift up others, and I think that's so admirable.
Uh, we to God be the glory, but we all got a part to play, right?
Mm,
I ran to a guy the other day that was telling me that he was locked up in the county jail with me, and he would hear me singing on the zone, and that was inspiration to him, right?
mm,
Now he's got a new outlook on life. Uh, God don't let anything go to waste. I'm grateful.
Mm,
I'm grateful that I woke up this morning. I'm grateful and I'm thankful that I have an opportunity to have this
yeah,
conversation with you.
yeah. And can I just say that I have heard you singing, and I've said to you, your voice is absolutely amazing. I
I,
mean,
appreciate-
yeah,
I,
you should have been on the stage
I,
with that voice.
I, I appreciate it. I appreciate it. If like my grandmama used to say, if the Lord say the same, I intend to be. Uh,
Yeah.
but it's just right now, my eyes have been open wider than they ever been.
Mm,
Uh, it was call it perfect timing or whatever you want to call it, right? Whatever you want to attribute it to. Uh, and then I look and I see all that I've been through, all the turmoil and carnage and the hurt and the pain and the tears and the loss that had to play into that, right?
mm,
Uh, I've been on both sides of this coin, right? Uh, I stand here charged, accused, and found guilty of 8 murders. I've also had loss in my family, from my father to my cousins,
mm,
uh, due to gun violence,
mm.
whether accidents or sickness, right?
Willie,
Like
can I
like
ask
it's
you how old
lost,
you were when you lost your father?
like 16 or 17. My
I
father, my
mean,
step, uh,
the worst possible
yeah,
age, literally, for a boy
absolutely.
in particular.
A young man that's seeking guidance, right? 16 or 17 years old, and you seeking guidance on where to go and how to get there, and you lose that. And the double whammy is the closest thing to my father is my big brother, and he get locked up. Now you got a child, right? In a world trying to be a man. Then you got my mother, who don't know nothing about being a man, right? She's only observed this from afar from other men, right? She don't know about what's actually going on in this life. So I was led astray, pretty much led to the wolves,
Mm,
right? To survive from 16 to 17 years old to 35, from ever being incarcerated, is totally against America's statistics, right?
mm,
Like I read all the statistics, and then at 35, I end up incarcerated.
mm,
I didn't end up incapacitated, because even being incarcerated, right? Once 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 I got my head together, I was able to make uh an evolution, a step as a man, as a human being, uh that I don't think I would have been able to do
mm,
on the streets, because I was torn and pulled in so many different places. I was trying to be Superman for everybody,
mm.
and didn't know what to do when
Willie, tell me, what
uh
was it like when you ended up at 35 in what presumably the county jail for 2 or 3 years prior to your trial?
uh only thing I can really remember is 23-1. It wasn't just 23-1. Oh,
And explain that for people if you can.
torture,
Mm,
torture. Oh, that's torture.
mm,
That's hell. That's hell.
mm,
Uh, even after I got here, uh, it's 23-1. That's torture. That's
Mm,
hell.
mm,
Uh, so, but once I got here, it it kind of was a part of the evolution started then, right?
mm,
The thing about the county jail is being separated from your family.
yeah.
That's the biggest part of prison. That's the biggest punishment about prison. It ain't the
Mm,
fact sending you away from home or having
yeah.
to live around people is no different from anybody going off to college or signing up for the military. In that regards. But it's the fact that you leave your family and you can't go back to them.
Mm,
Especially me being a family man, being family oriented, right?
mm. It
And
must feel terribly bleak and lonely.
man, my heart has been shredded, right? Like my heart has been shredded. My pillow couldn't take no more tears. Uh, it's been excruciating pain. It's been
Mm,
pain after pain, right? And living inside of your head, right? And all of these thoughts playing out through your head. Uh, you had to learn how to control your thoughts. So I listened to spiritual advisors, spiritual
mm,
leaders, right, and learn how to control the thoughts that were going on in my head. Um, I had to understand who I was and who I was. Um, and I got stronger. I got stronger day by day.
mm,
Uh, once I got stronger, right? It's a passage in the Bible says, when you return, you strengthen the brethren. So once I got stronger, I offered my strength to others. Everybody wasn't receptive. The public was really not receptive.
mm.
Because all they see is death sentence, death row inmate, incarcerated man, crazy guy, right? And what these guys see is a brother who have fallen, who have pulled himself up out of the mire, out of the mud, and that is persistent. Instead of trying to alleviate himself, constantly trying to alleviate himself of this charge. And that's inspiring to them to fight,
Mm,
right? Everybody in prison is not guilty, just like everybody in prison is not innocent. But it's a lot of guys in prison say, I'm guilty of this, I'm guilty of something, but I'm not guilty of that. And certainly I don't
mm.
deserve to die.
No,
I have a
absolutely. And
skin.
I would really hope that when, people do listen to these stories, that, there can be a better understanding that children who witness violence and are living a life with trauma, are going to exhibit issues following that when they become young adults. It's almost inescapable. It permeates into people and it causes issues. For some, clearly worse than others. But your early life was obviously very, very challenging. And as I said, I do admire, Willie, your resilience and your willingness to stand with others in all of this. It is admirable.
Exactly. I say if you teach me science, I become a scientist. If you teach me math, I become a math musician. If you teach me music, I become a musician. But if you teach people ignorance, if you teach people violence,
Mm,
if you teach people addiction, if you
mm,
teach people pain, if you teach people hate, those are the things that you cultivate. And that is the reason we see it. Those people are not born like that. Those people are taught those things. Those things are injected into them for that sole purpose,
mm,
right? A lot
mm.
of people didn't have a say in what was injected into them and what was taught to them. They
Yeah.
was taught that and they learned that. and they responded in the manner that they had learned.
Mm.
And that's why I don't believe in bad people, right? I don't believe in bad people. I believe in bad things.
Yeah, I don't believe that. I think there are very, very few people that are sort of born as some sort of evil monster. There's the odd few, sure, for sure, but the issues are greater than that. The issues are what people endure as children, and that's what unfortunately shaped so many of these tragedies.
So even with the tragedies, right, that happen,
Mm,
even with these tragedies that happen, right, it's one of the things that we constantly run into here in Mississippi and often uh, nationwide in this country is that people don't get a fair shot when it comes to these when these situations happen. Perception often make up minds and what goes on. And one
mm,
of the things I say in my legal case, don't cheat me to beat me, right? Because your perception of me, the way you felt, your emotions about
mm,
me led you to cheat me, to believe me. I deserve a fair trial. I deserve to be heard. I
mm.
deserve to be represented. And I deserve to be free.
Thanks for
I
talking,
deserve.
Willie.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I appreciate you.
I appreciate you too, and we're running down the clock as you can see. So thank you so much for your time and for talking about that. Really appreciate it. Good to see you, my friend. Good to see you.